Oh man, thank you so much, Sandra, for being with us. I am so excited about our conversation. And I want you to, talk about you, tell us what you are doing in the UK, and also about your podcast, because I know that you are working it, helping parents everywhere. So please tell us more about what you do.
Hi, Liddy. Thank you for inviting me. My name's Sandra Trew. I have a Get Real Parental Coaching is my brand. I've just released my podcast that comes out every 2 weeks. And so my background is just literally 30 years in childcare, working as a nursery manager, working as a nursery worker, and then worked my way up to manager. I then done some nannying, worked abroad in 5 different countries, and in that way, I can get the connection with the families, with the parents. I can see things evolving within the families, within the community, really, because you're dealing with lots of people from all over. So then I moved into my own business, run my own nursery business, and then decided from that I can see where the parents are needing a lot more support. So therefore, I then became a parental coach where I can work with parents on a one-to-one to help them build a more connection with their children, to work out what challenges they have within the family unit, within themselves as parents, because they want to become better parents. And that's where that then leaded to the podcast.
Yes, and it is so important. And I'm sure that, based on your experience, because you have been with a group of children, but also you are with a family as a nanny, so you understand perfectly the challenges that family can encounter within the family unit, but also now when the child goes and need to socialize, need to go to school, need to learn more about the environment. And based on all your life experience, but also your professional experience, what are the main 3 points to foster that relationship with a child?
So, first of all, I would talk about consistency. That has got to be like a priority. And what's happened is, I remember when my children were small and they would go on and on and on and on. Can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have that? Just like a record, a scratch record. And then what do you say? You know they're not supposed to have it, whatever they're asking for, but you just say, oh, go on then. That one line, oh, go on then. So that line has then triggered the child, oh, okay, I'll do that next time. I'll just keep going on and on and on and on. And then she'll say, oh, go on then. And then I'll just get what I want each time. So with this now, it's then upsetting the cart, isn't it? Because they're going against the grain of what they're supposed to be doing because you're not being consistent. So it's okay for having a treat every now and again. That's absolutely fine. Or you're rewarding the child for something that they did or that they've said that they've never done before. Those things are okay. And you're explaining that this is a treat. We don't normally do that. But because you were so good at this, or you're so good at that, or I was really proud of you, the way you interacted with this, or, here's a treat. So they understand that. But the treats are coming daily, which then
Mhm.
interrupts the consistency that you have. So the children are not following the boundaries or the rules within the household because you're not being consistent. One day they're allowed to do something, the next day they can, then you can't, then they can. So if you have consistency, it sets the children up. They know in advance, they're aware of what they can do and what they can't do because you're consistent all the way. And unfortunately, it's not just the one adult in the house. both of you have got to be consistent together, because you know what children are like. They play one off against the other. And if that one says yes and that one says no, there's no consistency. And therefore, you're going to interrupt the household with a lot of other issues that are going to come from that. So I would say consistency has got to be the number one thing. You know where you are, the children know where they are, and you have a nice balance.
Mm.
You have a nice balance within, and then that's how you can help have or contribute towards having a healthier family relationship
Yes.
within the household.
Yes,
So,
definitely. And you know, I was thinking that because you said it's important to be consistent and not to say, okay, go get it, after maybe 10 minutes of nagging, then saying, go get it. But parents will say that, yes, but I need to keep my peace. The child is just, insisting and I'm going to lose it. So, I'm just out to preserve my peace. I will let the child have that. So now, what can you advise for those type of parents that think that they are preserving their peace when they just let their child, after 20 minutes of nagging, receiving what they ask for?
so you need to be able to tell them, I mean, after about two or three times, it's got to be no. Sometimes they, depending on the age group, they need that hand signal. You need to stop. I said, you're not having that. So please don't ask again. If it means then you feel like you're going to give in, you can easily walk away, have
Mm.
yourself 10 minutes break. So it breaks up the nagging. You've separated, you've removed yourself from that emotional feeling that you've got in your head that you're about to give in. You
Yeah.
know, move yourself away from the situation, go into the next room, take that deep breath that you need to take, and once you come back, you know that you can start again. The answer is still no. The answer is you cannot have that. The answer is the reason why, and I'll say it again, just one more time, in case you didn't hear it last 50 times, one more time, that the reason why you can't have that right now is because. So then, why don't you go and, find a distraction? Let's go and do this. So they're not thinking about that anymore. So a distraction is then what you need for the child. So if you can't manage, you can escape yourself just for 1 minute or so, come back, because it changes the whole dynamics. It changes. By then, the child's probably got bored and probably gone off somewhere anyway. So you hope.
Yeah.
So those couple of things that you could do, and certainly try those things, because sometimes unless you try something you don't know, and if you don't try something you're going to be stuck with that same nagging, that same situation, that same feeling that, oh my goodness, I'm going to give in. Oh, go on then, and we're back to that again.
Yeah.
So you've got to try different things. Distraction, deep breaths, take yourself away from the situation. So those are a couple of things that you could do there.
Yes, and this is good, distraction. And I assume that, when you do that distraction now, you're inviting your child on focusing thinking about something else. It made me think
That's
about
right.
a parent said that just say to your child, ask me again in 1 hour. If the child asks you again in 1 hour, that means he really wants it. But if the child just forget about it, you know that it was not really something that the child needed. And that, it goes with what you just shared about distraction. Do something else and let's see if the child want really the things can be, candy, or, I want a new bag. I want that new toy, especially during birthday or holidays. So this is good, as you said, distraction.
And also be prepared for, in that hour's time, depending on what it is, make the child just cannot have it. So it's still going to be a no. An hour, 1 day's time, a week's time is still going to be a no. So be prepared for that as well. But
Mhm.
definitely, a distraction, definitely take the deep breath. Sometimes people think, why would I take a deep breath? What's that going to do? It works wonders because you haven't done it. You haven't tried it. So if you take that deep breath, it makes you think about your next approach. It makes you think about what you're going to do next or what you're going to say next. It just gives you that little bit of leeway and that little bit of time that you need, you know?
Mm. Yes, definitely. And your second point is about more quality time. And it goes, when your child wants something and it's not, you can say, okay, let's do something together, because sometimes it's just the attention that the child wants from the parent. And now when it's okay, let's read a book or let's go outside. So let's do something together to distract the child about, bothering you about something that the child doesn't necessarily need. So what are the importance of that quality time with the child?
So, first of all, it's something that the child's going to remember. You know, when I think back of when I was a child and I think back of what do I remember doing with my parents? You know, what kind of things really stuck in my head consistently? Or was it just that one time that I managed to, you know, do some baking with my dad or went out shopping with my mum? That's all I remember.
Mm,
Therefore, was there a lot of quality time there? Probably not. So now you want to create that quality time because you're creating memories for your child.
I love that.
So the child can say, "Oh, I remember when my dad used to read to me every night before I go to bed. I remember when mum taught me how to ride my bike. I remember when I went with my dad to the cinema or to bowling and he taught me this. Or I remember when playing board games as a family. I remember we always used to sit round a table and have dinner together. And I used to squabble with my sister or my brother. It's, all those little things that children are going to remember. So if you don't put in the time and you don't put in the effort to create that quality time with your child, the child's not going to remember anything. You
Mm,
have to put in the time. And I know for working parents, more so, whether they're working from home, whether they're working outside of the home, they feel like, well, we haven't got time. By the time I finish work, I have to cook the dinner. Then it's bath time. Then it's homework time. And then I have to get them to bed. And then, if I don't do all that, then they're going to bed all 9, 10 o'clock. And that's too late because then they don't sleep all night. Within that time, there is little snippets of time that you can create quality time.
mm,
So why can't the child help you cook the dinner and you do that together? Peel a little carrots or set the table, those kind of things. Once you've done that, you're sitting around the table, you're having quality time, having dinner together, and not one or two of you sitting on the sofa watch with the TV on when you've missed the opportunity. It's about opportunities and grabbing those with two hands, So after that, okay, well, bath time, they're in the bath, they're playing. How was school today? You can even ask them that in the bath time when it's bath time. You
mm,
know, you're just still connecting, constantly connecting with them until they go to sleep. Then, of course, you got your story time before bed. That's a lovely time. Either they're reading to you or you're reading to them. It's still a lovely time for you to have that one to one, for you to, is everything okay? Do you want to talk to daddy about anything? Do you want to talk to mummy about anything? And that will give the child opportunities where it's a calm moment. You haven't got everybody running around the house. It's calm and they feel relaxed so that they can talk to you about their day or anything that's bothering them or that something they did that really made them smile today, all those kind of things. So you have to grab the little snippets of quality time when you can. And of course you've got the weekends. Some people still work at the weekends, but you do have little bit of a longer time to have that as well. So put down your devices, put down your mobile phone and your iPads and shut the computer down, because to a child, if they're not getting that full attention, they're still not going to be happy within, because they can see that you're half listening and half not, because you're
Mm,
busy texting. Yeah, okay, I heard you. They don't want that. They want to see that you've closed everything down and you've made that time for them. You've given that quality time for them, because they can see that you've shut all devices down, and they feel relaxed enough to talk to you, to know that you're really, really listening. And
mm,
that is your quality time there. So, of course, you can obviously do more things at the weekends. Go for your walks. You may not live in a surroundings where there's nice country trees and leaves and nice pathways. Not everybody lives like that.
mhm.
If you live in the city, it is quite difficult, but you have still got parks. You
Yeah.
could even just take a walk around the block, but you've just still taken that time with your child, outside of the house, at different environments. So think about those little things that you could be doing. Maybe plan it in advance if you can. We're going to here this weekend, and not everything has to cost money. Not everything has to cost money. Not everything is all about money. To create
Mm,
that quality time, you go to the park when it's that seasonal time and collect conkers. Pick
mm.
up sticks and bring it home and make little collage pictures with it. On a rainy day, you put the blanket over a table and put little torches and go underneath and pretend you're in a den or a tent, or you're in a cave. Read your books. Read your books. So there's so many things that you could be doing to create quality time and create memories for your child.
This is good, and I've been also telling that, take every opportunity to create memories, and this is exactly, what it's important. It doesn't need to be planned. When we plan it, it's good, but as you say, you just take a blanket, boom, over the table, everybody under, and they're going to have fun. Sometimes it's those little, unexpected moments that you just create, memories that is not planned. We were at home, everybody were laughing, we had, a good time. And as you say, it doesn't need to take hours. Sometimes it's just, 10-15 minutes, but full attention, that will make the child happy, and then all the transition will be faster, and the child will fall asleep also faster.
Yes.
Good. And the last point, can you tell us about your last one, to foster a healthier family relationship?
Definitely. So we need to stop the shouting and the yelling. And I can put my hand up to that. I was one of them. I think I was queen of shouting. Yeah.
Oh.
So the problem is that when you are growing up and you hear people shouting at yourself and shouting at each other, sometimes you don't know any different. When you have your
Mhm,
children, then you go ahead and carry on shouting. And then
mhm,
it just becomes a cycle. So at some point, it needs to stop and change. Yeah, because we're in evolving times now. We're doing a lot more talking, we're doing a lot more listening. So I shouted so much, my throat was hoarse. That's how much I was shouting.
mhm,
But I realized I wasn't getting anywhere. It
mhm,
wasn't doing anything. It didn't change anything, because the behaviors were still the same.
mhm,
So I woke up one morning, I literally woke up one morning and said, you know what? I'm not going to shout anymore. I made that commitment to myself, because I thought it can't be healthy. Definitely not healthy for me. It's certainly not healthy for the children. So I made that commitment. I'm not going to shout anymore. So what did I do instead? Okay. So I stared a lot at the time. I just, but at the time, I'm still
mhm,
taking deep breaths inside.
mhm,
I walked away from situations when I felt myself about to be emotional within the situation.
mhm,
So took myself off like before, come back with a new approach, and I was able to handle the situation, the conversation so much better.
That's good.
Now we need to be able to talk to our children so they can talk back to you. If you're shouting at them, they're going to shout at you, and you're going to be lost in this emotional
Mm,
turmoil where nothing's getting resolved because everyone's just shouting. Where if you listen and you talk, if it's not the right time, especially for younger children, you can wait till that tantrum is over. Wait to find a calm moment when they play nicely, and you say, listen, about earlier, I just want to talk about that, about earlier,
mhm,
how
mhm,
we can, or what was bothering you earlier on, what troubled you, what upset you to make you feel that you had to be that angry. That's
mhm,
what you do. You approach it when they're calmer, because when you're both angry, nothing gets, you're upset, they're upset, the whole household is upset, and everyone's shouting, everybody's
mhm,
crying. You
mhm,
haven't resolved anything. So you really have to find out what is the trigger. Is also sometimes for the child, there's a certain trigger that will start getting them upset. If you can get to that trigger before they get to that stage, that's half your battle already.
mhm,
That's half your battle already. So I would definitely advise to stop the shouting or yelling. It's not healthy. And this is why we're here to talk about healthier family relationships. Shouting is not healthy. Find alternative ways. With the youngsters, you can be doing distractions. Yeah, find out when they're calm, find out what was wrong. Talk to them so you can understand them. Once they think you're listening to them, they will want to come to you more.
mhm,
Once you're shouting, they're going to become fearful of you. And oh, I don't want to say that because daddy's just going to shout at me. And they will start keeping things in
mhm.
and not talking to you about anything. Now, one thing a parent wants is to have a really good relationship with their children. They want their children to come to them with
Correct.
about anything.
Mhm,
How is the child going to come to you when you're constantly shouting all the time? They're not going to come to you. So, and see, to talk about the preteens, the 9, 10, 11 year olds, they will then get information, or even teenagers, on the school playground from their friends because
yes.
they feel like they can't come to their parents to talk to because they're just going to be shouting.
Mm,
And we don't want that. We want to give them, our children, factual information, not playground information. We want to make sure the information we're giving them is real and factual, you know? So stop the shouting, talk to your children, communicate, build up a relationship of talking, listening, talking, listening. Sometimes emotions might get in the way,
mm,
but we find ways to deal with that part.
mm.
Okay. So that's what I would have to say when we're talking about shouting and yelling.
Yes, and it's good. And also, what can help as well is to practice. Because sometimes when you are in a turmoil, you don't want to talk. You are in the situation, you're frustrated, the person is frustrated, so you don't know what to do. But then when you practice communication, when you are happy, that means that we are in a good mood, and I'm going to share with you why I'm happy. I'm going to share what I feel. Then when it's going to be a situation that is less comfortable, there is going to be less friction, because we're already used to talk when everything is good. So now I can have that open door about, okay, something happened, but that's because we had that before. So even when something doesn't go well, I have that I have that ability to come to you and to talk, to communicate, and not to yell, as you shared.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So as long as we, as you say, keep the doors of communication open, and I think it's just remembering not to get caught up in the heat of the moment.
Mm.
but being able to stop the conversation, stop it before it gets to that point, walk away, distraction, but remembering to come back to it, because otherwise it's still not resolved, because
Yes.
you've walked away to stop the the upsetness, but it hasn't been resolved. So
Mm.
you've got to come back to it and say, about earlier, let's talk about earlier, how that made you feel, how that made me feel, the
Mm.
reasons why, what made you do that, how did you feel about that? So therefore they can understand that you're taking their opinions into consideration.
Yes.
They will understand that you're thinking about them, you care enough about them to ask them how they're feeling in the first place.
Yes.
And it eventually they will build up self-control where they will be able to regulate themselves, and there'll be no shouting at all. And as you
Mm.
say, it's not going to happen overnight. If you're a shouter, it's not going to happen overnight. But you take your time and you think more, think about it, take your time, take it all in. And obviously, you'll get a lot of tips listening to this conversation.
Yeah. And also to your podcast, tell us more. Where can we found your podcast?
So it's on Apple, it's on Spotify, it's on some other podcast podcast places, but it will come out bi-weekly.
Mm.
So my podcast, I'm like to talk to people who can give the listeners, mostly obviously parents, either mums, dads, carers,
Mm.
grandparents, give them tips of how they can be better people within themselves. So it's different people that I'm talking to all the time. And as long as they can educate and motivate and empower the listeners, that is what my podcast is about. Positivity, being mindful, but still it's called Get Real Parental Coaching because we
Mm.
want to get real to the point. We want to get straight to the point, without the little cherries on top. We're talking real life talk, how it is today.
Yes, yes, and it's very good. I've been able to participate, and the podcast is very. The episodes are very good. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise and for bringing minded people into the conversation, because it's important to understand all this perspective, because we need to live together, and we need also to teach our children how they're going to interact with other people, with the elders, but also with their peers. So it's very important. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, it was a pleasure. So I'm going to upload the video. I'm going to put the link for the podcast. So it's going to be next to the video. So you just need to click on it and to subscribe, so you will not miss any episode from Sandra. And I want to thank you, Sandra, for your time. It was a pleasure.
Oh, you're welcome. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.